Today we're going to be talking about apples, and this is way too many on a branch. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here on a very early June morning in 2022. If you guys have been following us along, you know that we have over 170 fruiting trees, vines, and bushes here on this newly establishing desert farm. One of the types of fruit trees that we're growing are apple trees. The trees you're going to be seeing today have all been in the ground for about 1.5 years. In fact, last year about this time, these trees were about 2 or 3 feet tall, having grown from whips about the size of my pinky finger. Now you can see we have several trees that are pushing 6 or 7 feet tall, almost 5 or 6 feet wide, so a tremendous amount of growth, but still very young trees. One of the challenges when it comes to apples, especially apple trees like this here in Arizona that grow very rapidly, and you can see produce very young, is they'll produce way too much fruit, not only for the tree itself, but also for the fruit quality. Now, we've talked about thinning apples, which is what we're doing today. I'm gonna go ahead and link a video here that we did several years ago on one of our trees on the old farm. That'll give you an idea of just how extensive the thinning will need to be on older trees. So keep in mind today, we're dealing with younger trees that have some specific needs beyond just thinning for size and fruit quality. One of the things with apples is you need to be careful when you're doing your thinning. These trees in particular are spur fruiting apples, so all of the fruit occurs on a single spur that will last several years for production. I don't want to break that spur as I'm thinning, so what I use is these little micro pruners. These are from Fiskars. I believe we have these in our Amazon shop, but they're easy to find online. Very, very small, so it's easy to get into very, very tight spaces, which is exactly what we're dealing with here. Now, this cluster that you see here has several fruit all right up against the branch. The reason being is all of the spurs below it are very, very small and tight to the tree. Because this branch is nice and vertical, I don't really need to be too concerned about the weight, but no matter what, if I don't thin this, I'm gonna have very, very small fruit and poor quality. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and start removing fruit. I'll stop as I find things specific as far as what you wanna look for when you're removing, but what I need to do more than anything is clear most of these fruit out. The first thing I look for when I'm gonna be removing fruit is apples with any damage. You can see this has a bird peck here and is starting to wilt because of the damage. So the first thing I'm gonna do is remove that. There's a little bit of sun damage here on this fruit. Now, it's very hard for me to get back into there, but I'm gonna make the attempt. I've got a piece of fruit here that's quite misshapen, and it's also soft, which tells me that it's not ripening well. Now I have a better idea of what's on my spur here. I have 2 pieces of fruit. Because this tree is so young, there's no way that it's gonna be able to actually sustain this. Piece of fruit that actually looks the best, has the best shape, it's probably this one here. So I have 1 piece of fruit left on this single spur that's coming off of here. I have 2 pieces of fruit here on this one spur. I have one that's pointing straight up and one that's actually kind of hanging down nicely on the branch. It'd be easy for this one to ripen, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove this top one. So now that I've actually thinned a bit, I can see what's going on here on some of these spurs. I'm just gonna work my way around this branch with those same ideas in mind as far as what fruit I'm gonna be removing. So I'm done thinning this one branch from this young tree. I have about 7 pieces of fruit left, and I actually have a bucket that has about 12 pieces of fruit that I took off of this branch. So you can see just how much production was on this single branch on this young tree. Now I still have a little bit more thinning to do on this tree. When I'm done, we'll come back to you and show you what I took off of this tree. We still have at least a couple dozen fruit on this small tree. Now, keep in mind, this tree is only 1.5 years old, so it's actually a very young tree. Still a beautiful tree and full of fruit. So I have a 2-gallon bucket here that's about halfway full of apples. Now, some of these apples actually look fantastic, and these actually will still be very good apples for juicing, which is exactly what we're gonna be using these for. So these will definitely not go to waste while we wait for the rest of these fruit to ripen here over the next few weeks. Now, obviously, when it comes to thinning, you can do this at any time. We're probably just a little bit late, but we're trying to get down at this point on these trees to something comfortable for a young tree. One of the things I also look for on these young trees is I look for branches that are starting to droop a bit, because that's a problem. So one of the challenges with younger trees like this is you want to try to keep a balance as they start to set fruit. You can see I have this branch here that's probably at about a 60-degree angle or so from the ground. I don't want that to continue to droop down towards the ground as this particular scaffold sets. I have several pieces of fruit on this branch, so the reality is I need to remove everything because I can't allow this particular branch to continue to droop. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to choose a new scaffolding branch and start over again. So it looks like we're gonna be just fine on this scaffolding branch. It's actually a beautiful branch here on this Einsheimer apple, a unique variety for us here in the desert, but beautiful scaffolding branch, so I think we saved it without an issue. I have one more tree to take care of that's got a low branch that I'm gonna need to remove all the fruit, and I think we're gonna be done for today. It's all wrapped up today, getting the thinning done on these young trees. I'm here underneath one of our 3 Anna apple trees, another fantastic variety for us here in the desert. One of the things about thinning apples, especially when you're thinning this late, is the goal is to get down to 1 to 2 pieces of fruit for each individual fruiting spur. I think we've done that here on these young trees. Now, we still have a harvest. In fact, we've got about half of a 5-gallon bucket full of nice, beautiful, small apples that are undamaged. Those we'll be adding to our juice that we have every morning. And then I have about a half a gallon or so of damaged fruit. And of course, those are not going to waste. Those will be going to our chickens and our goats so that we recycle everything. So just want to thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. This is one of the many things we cover as we're establishing this new desert farm, but would love to see you on a regular basis. Questions or comments, those go in the comment section down below. And our Amazon shop, I'll leave a link down in the description. That is a free, painless way to help support the channel. If you start with the link down below, it doesn't matter what you buy, you help to support us here. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. Hi, Lily girl. Okay, I know.
Okay, Rosie doesn't like that. She's like, my turn. There you go.